Welcome to Top Shelf Book Club, a Mighty Books podcast segment where my sister, Emily McDonald, and I, Ryan Oliver, discuss presumably quality books while indulging in some top shelf liquor. So listen for yourself while we judge books to see whether they earn the right to be rated top shelf. Okie dokie. Hello all, welcome to Top Shelf Book Club. I'm Ryan.
I am Emily.
She is Emily all day, and she's got her little doggy King on her.
Yeah, his head's in the frame.
That's okay. No one can see that, so it's all right. Nobody cares but us.
Yes.
All right, so we're talking about The Lottery.
Yes, by Shirey Jackson, written in 1948.
Now, my goodness. And it is, for no one who's ever actually read the thing in, freshman literacy, English class, like words are hard.
Words are so hard.
They're so challenging, and you're tired.
Yeah.
And I'm okay right now. I'm okay. But we're okay right now.
We're functioning. We're surviving.
I like functioning. I
don't know that I'm functioning, but I'm surviving.
No, you're borderline surviving. Maybe.
I have an energy drink to help push me through.
Yeah, I've got some coffee instead of some boozy stuff because I got to be awake for this.
If I had booze, I would be
zonked
down. Yeah,
hard.
Dead.
Well, this is actually Lottery is it is a book technically. It is an anthology of short stories by Shirley Jackson, but The Lottery is actually a story too, short story. And we were just talking about it before I hit record. According to my book, it's about 12 pages, and according to your PDF that you got, because it's super short, it's
very
like
short,
7.
Yeah, and it's not a full 7; it's like 7-ish.
Oh my, six and change.
Yes, 6 and some change.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It took both of us about anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes to finish it, depending on how motivated and tired we were.
And distracted.
That too. I first read it at Jackson's practice, and I couldn't read very much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Very challenging to read. So I read it again today, actually, just a refresher. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, I missed so much, so many details.
Yeah.
About it. But so let's quickly go through about the author, Miss Emily.
Well, Mr. Ryan, about the author, that's gross. Shirley Jackson was born December 14th, 1916 in San Francisco, California. She attended the University of Rochester and then Syracuse University, where she became the fiction editor of the campus humor magazine.
Humor, really?
Right. She graduated in 1940 and moved to New York City. She began writing professionally, and her first novel, The Road Through the Wall, was published in 1948. The Lottery was also published in 1948, and The Lottery generated the most mail in the history of The New Yorker. Many readers wrote in expressing confusion over the underlying meaning and anger over the ending. Even with the backlash, The Lottery became one of the most significant short stories of its era, and it was eventually translated into dozens of languages and adapted for radio, television, and stage. She was married to a critic named Stanley Edgar Hyman, and together they had 4 children. There's also a movie about her life called Shirley that came out in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then she passed away from heart failure on August 8th, 1965. She also wrote The Haunting of Hill House, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and a memoir titled Life Among the Savages. But did you ever watch the series Haunting of Hill House?
No.
Amazing and creepy. It's fantastic. So when I saw that, I was like, no fucking way. Like it gave you just like it was perfect.
From what we read, it's funny because I was just reading her bio on the back of my book that I've got here. And she said her style ranged from humor, which I was like, that's strange, to downright terrifying.
Yeah.
Or truly horrible as what it's quoted here.
That's
interesting. And I mean, like, I really haven't dove into. I actually read one other story that was kind of weird of hers, and it was okay. This one I read when I was a freshman in high school, so it's been
I read it in high school.
Been a few years.
Just a little bit.
So, but I still remember the ending so vividly.
Same.
And I think that's why, and it's it's actually supposedly it's inspired things like the Hunger Games.
I was thinking about that today.
Jennifer Collins, I think her name is, the author of Hunger Games.
Oh, I would not be able to tell you.
Whatever. I've read the series. I enjoyed the series. I have my issues with some of it, but I understand why. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
getting off topic. But
Different book.
different book. We can go to that one later if we want to.
I say I've never read those, so
Oh, there you go. That'd be a good
yeah.
visit too.
Mhm.
But that it was definitely. It seems like it had some influence.
Yeah, I absolutely.
Yeah,
I
had
mean,
some
how could it
influence.
not? The concept is just wild.
Right, and actually, I will get into that, but let's first go through the actual story because it shouldn't take us too long to get through the story. But
Fingers crossed.
we're us,
Yeah.
and we're good at talking about nonsense while we talk about real stuff.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
it's someone I don't know, I cannot talk to them. But if it's like you or Chris or family, I can talk for 24 hours without
Oh,
stopping.
100%. I mean, I can talk to pretty much anybody
I
about
cannot.
anything for
No,
a
thank
long
you.
time. That's
No,
probably why
thank
I
you.
interview people and you don't.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare, to
Yeah.
be completely honest. I'm not gonna lie.
There are people that are more challenging to interview than others, and those are the
I'm
ones who
sure.
have very low energy and are nervous. Yeah.
Sup?
So there you go. Sup.
It's me.
So if you ever get a book out, I'll be the one interviewing you, nobody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Fair.
anybody's like, so I want to, so you're going to go through my brother and you're going to give him the questions and then we're going to talk and then you can have whatever you want later.
No, I just have I have a monopoly on you. That's what's going to
That's
happen.
fine. I'm
Yeah,
good with that.
that'll
That's
be
fine.
great.
Are you
Okay,
okay
cool.
with
So,
that?
all
Cool.
right, so let's dive in on this our very small story, which is probably better after our long one we had just recently.
Only 3 hours.
Only 3 hours. I haven't edited it yet, so that'll be
We'll see what
this
it ends
coming
up.
Sundays.
Yeah,
I anticipate a solid 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I would guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my
Yeah.
guesstimate. My guesstimate.
I'm going to say maybe 2.5, but probably 240.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my guess. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right,
Anywho,
so the lottery, it doesn't give a date necessarily of like when, like year wise when it started.
it's like it says June
It
27th.
does say a date.
You are
It
correct.
says a date, but not
I
a
was like, why are
year.
you lying?
Because I want to confuse and irritate as many people as possible.
Beautiful. So yeah, no
Yes.
year.
Yes, we have no year, but we have a date, and it's always June 27th. Supposedly it's always June 27th. Why? We don't know, and they don't seem to know either.
Yeah, because it's not like the summer solstice or anything. Like there's nothing that would like mark it. It's not the first day. It's not like it's because
It's
that's the
close.
21st, I think. Yeah, it's close,
Yes.
but it's not
It's not the day.
yeah. And it's not even
The
like a week later, it's 6 days. So it's like weird.
yeah, that's very strange. And sometimes they said it's their little area is still small enough that they can just do the lottery in one day, one like 2 or 3 hour stint, where
Yeah.
other places are so big it takes them, they just start on the 26th and then bleed into the 27th. So a
Yeah.
long time. They said this their town is potentially primarily about 300-ish people. So
Yep.
pretty small. So what's the first thing you see in the opening scene here, Ems?
So we have kids they just been let out of school and I believe the first thing, yeah, they're just grabbing stones. We see Bobby and Harry Jones and Dickie Delacroix, and they put in the villagers pronounce this name Delacroix.
Yeah.
It's
I was
just in
like, I didn't.
case.
Well, it's funny because I read Delacroix,
Yeah,
Croix, as Delacroix, and
same.
then it tells us to say it Delacroix. And I was like, wait,
I was like, what?
my brain had
How
to do
else?
had to do like a back Delacroix. Like,
Yeah, it was like, that's what?
I mean, when you think about it, so when was it written? 1948.
Yeah.
Okay, published 1948. So maybe people were. I get no. After World War II, they should have at least had some kind of semblance of how to pronounce French last names. But
Yeah, I was like, that's
whatever.
all right.
There
Yeah,
are
so
some
we
people
meet
who don't, but I guess.
that's accurate. We meet Bobby Martin, Harry Jones, Dickie Delacroix. And so the boys are all kind of collecting stones and hanging out. The younger girls are gathered together more like by their older siblings. And then they kind of like go in order. They all kind of just like gather
Yeah.
together, and then the men kind of gather next. They kind of she made a note that they like kind of avoid the stones that the kids are collecting and kind of trying to minimize any like fun that they're having together,
Yeah,
like
they
any
don't laugh.
laughs
They
are
laugh.
kind
They
of like
smile. Don't laugh.
stifled. Yeah, like a little maybe like giggle, but not really
Right.
anything real. And then shortly after the men come out, the women come out and kind of like gossip for a minute, like normal small town women things.
Yeah.
And then they go stand next to their husbands. And once they're next to the husbands, the kids go to the families.
And it takes them a little while to call them, but I mean,
They're
that's what
kids.
kids do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at first, if you've heard the story before, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
But like in the very beginning of it, it seems very like town barbecue kind of a situation. Almost the tone is uppity, like not uppity, more positive a little bit.
Yeah, there's a word that's in my brain and I cannot pull it.
Uh-huh.
It's not wholesome.
Genuine?
Nope.
I don't know. Wholesome?
I don't either.
Nice. Wholesome's nice.
It's kind of wholesome though. Yeah, that's not the word, but it's close to that.
Old-fashioned kind of a thing.
Kind of like not endearing. I cannot. My brain, I'm telling you, it's not there today. But
I need to get you on some crack. That's what Topher's
I have ghosts.
solution.
I don't
That's what's well, close enough, I guess.
Sour Patch Kids too.
Oh, there you go.
But it just seems very like normal small town, a whole town getting together.
Yeah.
Not
wholesome
what
seems
happens.
like wholesome seems very good.
I'm gonna figure it out at like 4 p.m. tonight and text you and be like, it's this.
And we're not coming back and doing it again after this.
No, we're not. I'm just gonna text you and be like, figured it out.
Quaint?
Nope.
Okay, well, I tried.
Yeah, that's fine. So they make a note that Bobby Martin comes when he's called, but then he tries to be like funny and kind of like Bart Simpson almost, kind of pulling a Bart and like runs away and is like running towards the stones, and then his dad corrects his behavior quite quickly and he's like, oh, okay, not doing that. And then he runs back to the family. I was like, ooh.
I think I'm gonna avoid this now.
Yeah.
So during this time, they all gather in the square or central location, and you meet Mr. Graves, who is basically the not the leader. What is he doing?
He's the postmaster. Which I don't exactly know what that means. I forgot to look that up. But
yeah, and it's okay. In this case, he's running the show. He's a facilitator for the lottery. Now, it doesn't mean that
that was Mr. Summers was.
No, Mr. Summers helped.
I thought Mr. Summers like ran it. Because Mr. Summers declares the lottery open.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so Mr. Graves, he was the postmaster.
Mr. Graves helps, and then Mr. Summers runs it.
Okay, my bad. See, there's just, and it's so quick, you don't like, there's a lot of names in a short amount of time.
You're introduced to like 16 people, and then they're like, and here we go.
Yeah, and then it's over just as quick as it started.
Exactly.
Yeah. Was there a Mrs. Summers too?
So, yeah, I made a note about it because I thought it was interesting. They say, where is my note about it? So we're introduced to Mr. Summers, who's a jovial man and runs most of the social activities. She made a note that most people felt bad for him because he had no children and his wife was a scold. And I was like, what does that mean? So I looked it up. It means a woman who is considered to be a public nuisance by engaging in quarrelsome, noisy, and abusive behavior.
I thought of like a scold as in someone who scolded him for being himself.
I was like, I've only heard it as like I was scolded,
don't scold him or scold her or something like that.
I was like, I have never heard it
as
this
a
way,
noun.
And so I had to look it up, and I was like,
totally.
who damn?
Well,
okay, they did not like her.
I meant to look up, but I'm super prepared for this, and I didn't.
You killed it.
I killed the mood or the whatever.
Okay, a postmaster is the head of a post office and is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the facility. So
that's hilarious. I was like, I think it's this, but that can't be right. That's too logical.
That's what I thought too, but I was like he's got to have some other responsibilities.
That can't be it. I mean, the post office is pretty. It is,
but in a 300-person town. It's not going to be super crazy.
I can't imagine it would be super crazy. I mean, correspondence level would be low, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. Lowish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, they gather together. They all get organized by families.
Yep.
And again, it seems like they're pretty like they're not jovial, but they're definitely like they're getting ready for a ceremony.
Yeah.
It's what it kind of feels like. Okay, let's get the ceremony going. This is a tradition. That's what we can tell it's traditional. And then she starts talking about this box, this black box.
Yep.
that has seen better days.
Yep.
And what's funny is there's a theme going through this that I noticed, a running pattern, that they don't seem to understand or remember why they do the things they're doing.
Correct.
The black box. Why was the box black? We don't know. Why was it never replaced? We don't know.
Well, they said the black box is not the original box from the original lottery, but it is
Right.
older than the town's oldest citizen.
Who's like 77 or 84 or something in that
I thought he
realm
was
of
I thought he was like late 80s. I could be wrong, but
I
there
thought
was
77,
also
78, 87. I think
I'll
87 is
look.
too. It was oh, what was his damn name? See, there's so many names.
I
We're
think
so
it's
good at this.
higher up. We are amazing. Mr. Grace, it should be up
LaCroix,
here.
Clark, Hutchinson's Old Man Warner.
That's it.
Yeah, Old
They
Man
say the
Warner.
name, right?
Yeah,
Or
Old Man
the
Warner.
name. Age. I meant to say age.
They do. I just can't find it right now, and that's okay. It's in the 70s to 80s. You said it's about the
77th year that
Oh,
he's
okay.
been in the lottery, but you're not in I thought you weren't in the lottery until you were
16.
older. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I don't either because they make the comment like, "Oh, he's only 16, he can't pull," but then they talk about heads of
Well, he
families.
can't pull as a head.
Okay,
So that's
that's fucked up.
so
That's
I
more
agree.
fucked up.
I agree. So that was what was funny was I thought it was the same thing when I first read this. So the whole thing about the lottery, and
Well,
really we can just jump right to it.
yeah, I mean, we're basically there.
We're basically there already. So how I didn't really realize this until after. I was like, oh, they only have, I thought that's what you thought, 16 years, then you pull, and everyone, Graves and Summers, they which actually kind of funny. A summer grave. Sorry, I just thought that. You'll get this if you haven't heard it before. But
Yeah.
they have several hundred pieces of paper, one for each person living in the town. They
They
fold them in
used to use
half.
wood chips.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, paper is a little harder to mill and produce, but
They ended up not using wood chips anymore because the names couldn't fit in the box as easily because
um,
there were so many people. So once they got to a certain number, Mr. Summers had to convince the town to switch to paper because he was like, "We can't fit everything in the box. It has to go in the box for some
I
reason."
remember them needing a bigger box because of the amount of people, but I figured that was because of the paper, not the wood. I guess I missed that part when I reread it.
It was the wood.
Interesting. See, this is
Yes.
great. I love when I have two people
Yeah.
talking about it because we get
Yep.
all the details.
Yep.
But yeah, so paper folded in half, put it in the
Yep.
box. Each person puts their hand in there, pulls. So you think of a lottery, you think of, oh, you're going to win something.
You win something.
You win something, kind of.
Um,
Everyone else wins something. And there's a black dot
mhm.
on the paper that's folded. So you do 2 rounds of pulling,
Yep.
and they don't. I guess they don't do 300 because they go by families first.
Well, I don't understand how they do it because it says the night before the lottery, Mr. Summers and Mr. Graves write up each piece of paper with the names and put them in the box, and then they're taken to a safe and are secured or whatever. But
Hmm.
the lists that need to be made before the lottery can take place are the heads of families,
Yep.
heads of households in each family, and members of each household in each family.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Are they just
I think they're
are they
choosing by head of household.
well, so what I think I don't under
So
I
here's
know
how.
that I'm confused about how they pull.
Okay.
That's what's getting me.
So here's what I understood, and I could be wrong, and we
Yeah.
can go back and check later.
Yeah.
But here's how I interpreted it this time around because I thought it was every single person pulled, whoever would
I
pull
thought
it,
it was too.
because to me that would take a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. This way to me seems a lot faster.
It
So what you
very much
do,
is.
yeah. So what you do is each person who draws for a head of household,
Hmm.
they pull,
Yeah.
and then that person, all the head of household opens.
Yep.
Whichever head of household has the black dot, the whole family
Yes.
on the father's side. So if they had a daughter who was married, that daughter would no longer be pulling with that family, be
That
pulling with
family.
her
Yeah.
husband's family. So
Yes.
the whole family moves up. And then the family, including children, it doesn't matter how old they are, they pick up another set where they throw all the other um, paper out in the street. They threw them all in the street for some reason, like because littering is a thing.
Okay.
And then I guess it didn't matter.
Not in the 40s, I
And
guess.
then each individual member of that family picks
Okay.
it, and whoever gets the black dot. And here's the drum roll. What happens to them, Emily?
They get stoned,
They
and
get
not the good
stoned,
kind.
and not the good
They
kind.
they get
No one rolls a blunt for
literally,
them.
even the children pick up the rocks and beat the
Yes.
person that gets,
Yeah.
which is just, they pick small rocks specifically for the children.
Yeah. Small rocks, big stones, doesn't matter. And they huck them at
Yeah.
him. So how the
Yeah.
whole thing goes down is they start this whole process. It ends up being which family was it, Emily? Do you remember? It was
Martins, I think.
was it the
Was it Martin?
Martins?
Let me hold on. No, it was Hutchinson.
Um,
I lied. It was Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
was the Hutchinsons. And then which is crazy is like the woman, the
I was just
mother.
about to say,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
because they talk about it when the women are like convening and stuff. Everyone goes, and then she comes up. I don't think it had started quite yet. The guy, Mr. Summers, had, was it the Hutchins? No, it was the Martins went up and helped. They went up
Mm,
and like held the stool while he mixed up the papers and stuff. And then she like came in late because she forgot what day it was. And she was like, "Oh, I thought my husband was just out back like
yeah,
chopping wood." And then I
yeah,
realized the kids weren't there. And then I realized what day it was. And so she like sprinted down. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
yeah,
So there's like a little joke about like, "Oh, you wouldn't have me leave dirty dishes in the sink." Like, LOL, so funny. And then she dies.
yeah,
So
yeah. So he came by and didn't have enough time, suppose, according to her,
yeah, she
to
threw a fit
choose.
when her husband drew the black dot. She was like, "You hurried him, you rushed him, he didn't have enough time." Like everybody saw it, and people are like, "You need to shut up. Like you need to not, like, it
Just
happened, you need to move on." And she just
just
kept
fucking go.
harping on it.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't matter. And then when they went to go pick, like the fact that like little kids
Yeah.
were picking up
No,
like so they're gonna stone little children to
that's a
death.
little
Like
nauseating. That's a
yeah,
little
yeah, it
nauseating
is.
to think
Well, it's
about.
funny because the tone changes from like when they're all kind of
Yep.
talking and gathering. Okay, the kids are grabbing stones. They're gonna, you're thinking innocent. They're gonna go throw those stones in like a river.
Or
You know,
see
throw them at trees.
who can throw them the farthest,
You do
or
you throw them throw them the farthest, or
yeah.
who's got maybe a slingshot, something kind of fun to play with, a toy.
Yeah. Or they're just
So
literally making a pyramid out of
or the
it.
right, or you're making a pyramid out of rocks because that's what kids do.
Yeah.
Not gathering weapons of murder.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gross and
Too.
terrible and awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what's crazy is everyone's like okay with this
Yeah.
a little bit. I mean, well, you hear little inklings of
Yeah.
yeah of
Yeah.
other towns have abolished the lottery.
Yep. And then people are like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that." And it's like,
Well, right. I know. I was like, why would you think that? But okay, so I always thought at the very end, I'm like, okay, when did this start? They don't know. They don't tell you.
yep.
And they've even forgotten when this started. They don't have a real reason. Now, my thought is that at one point in time they did it for religious reasons.
Okay.
Or
I can see that.
like the Greeks sacrificing for a good harvest.
Okay.
Because in there's a line that says like the lottery in June makes the corn boom or
Oh,
something like that.
yeah.
It was
I
very in the
remember
beginning,
that.
and I can't remember if it was the actual
I
that
think
was
it
the
was,
literal
uh,
quote, but
I
it was
think
something to that effect.
the old man said it, I think.
Yeah, and
Because when they're talking about it, um, he's like, "Oh, it's not how it used to be. Like a lottery in June, corn be heavy soon."
oh, corn beef heavy. So yep, I just found that. Yep, yep, yep. So that was something that they were talking about. So my thought was at one point in time, this community, this land, this world, they would sacrifice because the gods would see it as whether it would be polytheistic or monotheistic society.
Yeah.
You kill somebody, you sacrifice somebody, and probably the more detrimental the sacrifice. So a warrior man or a childbearing woman or God forbid a child,
Yeah.
the worse, more tragic the
Yeah.
sacrifice, the better the harvest for the next year is from kind of what I've read or like from other cultures.
Yeah.
Like you sacrifice the more the virgin gets killed
Yeah.
or the child gets killed, the more innocent. Oh, then that
Yeah.
means
The
that we get
pure.
the pure, right? The
Yeah.
pure, then you
Yeah.
get a great harvest and we could all eat. Well, great. Or not do that.
Or we could just tend to the crops and hope for the best.
Yeah,
Like,
people are so good at pattern recognition, and unfortunately, we're also really good at false pattern recognition.
there's an episode of The Simpsons I just watched recently where a bear comes into Evergreen Terrace and everyone's freaking out that there's a
Mhm.
bear. And they freak out that the bear was there and they now need a bear tax for bear patrol because a bear was in the neighborhood. And so Homer's freaking out about it. And Flanders was like, well, I've lived here for a really long time and I haven't seen a bear before. And so later, after the bear patrol start, Homer and Lisa are talking, and he goes, wow, the bear patrols are working so well. I've seen no bears. And she's like, well, I don't think it's the bear patrols. I think it's the fact that there's not bears here. And so he was like, well, what else would it be? And she picks up a rock and I don't remember what she says, but she's like, well, this rock is making it so that there's no like vultures. Like, I don't remember what it was, but something super stupid. And Homer's like, well, how much can I pay you for that rock? And she's like, it's not the rock. Like, she's like, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying you're just taking two things that are happening at the same time and saying they're related.
Yes.
And they're not.
And
yeah.
That's how
And
superstitions are born.
exactly.
That's how weird religious phenomenon are sometimes
Like,
born.
correlation, not causation, I think
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of happenstance. Oh, because there was a great war, or there was a great they did something wrong to the temple.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they upset the gods somehow, and now their enemies attacked them. It's like, no, dummy, you set fire, they found you, and then they destroyed you because they you set fire to things. Or I don't know, there's way you can correlation, not causation. Yeah,
I tried to Google because there's an example of it, because I've read it in a ton of different things, but the first thing that pops up is like, apparently there's a correlation between ice cream sales and violent crime rates. They're not causally linked because they have nothing to do with one another, but increased ice cream sales apparently also are in the same increase with violent crime rates.
Probably because during the, I don't know,
hotter months or something.
Hotter months, more people are active, and so they get together and mob. They're drinking a lot, and then when that happens, they kill each other. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like, obviously people eating ice cream is not making people be violent.
No, in fact, it might actually do the opposite. It will probably make you be friendlier.
Yeah. I would be much happier if I had some ice cream right now.
I would be too, although my stomach would be less happy. So, I mean.
So I get the little Snickers ice cream bars, so then I just have a tiny little snack. I get my little bit of ice cream, and it doesn't upset my stomach because it's so itty bitty, so it's perfect. Or you get dairy free. So.
Yeah, yes. I think I'm heading towards the lactose.
There's Ben and Jerry's has non-dairy, and they are.
Yeah, we purchased a few for Ashley because of her digestive stuff, and they're actually really damn good. I won't lie.
The fish food is my favorite.
Did you say fish food?
Mm-hmm. They have chocolate little fishies, and it has caramel in it and little bits of marshmallow. Oh my god, it's so good.
I'm just expecting like little sardine heads and tails inside. That's what I'm like. What the hell are you talking about?
Little chocolate fishies is perfect. You get a little crunch.
Yeah, a little crunch. You get crunch. Fish bones.
Oh, ew. Now I can't eat it, Ryan.
You're welcome.
I got a salmon bone stuck in my throat at mom's one time, so now it's a no. Can't have fish food.
There you go. See, I love fish. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of
I was thinking population control, but I'm sure that you were correct.
I thought that too.
Mm-hmm, I'm like, my only thing is I don't think it's a population thing either, because it's one person per year. Yeah. And like, if you kill, it doesn't make sense in population. But I was like, what the else could it be? And I didn't even, with the corn thing, I did not think that it was.
Well, I love how nonchalantly they talk about it, like, oh well, let's get this over with so we can all get home for dinner.
Literally, it's just it's like
someone's just about to lose their mother. 3 kids about to lose their mother, and one person about to lose their wife. It's like, I like how he has to like rip it out of her hand. So like he is being socially like pressured to basically sacrifice his wife.
Yeah.
At this point in time, it's like,
well, everyone's like,
what the hell, man?
Everyone's like, it's her. Like, all right, let's do this. And yeah, this is all right, folks. Mr. Summers said, let's finish this quickly. Like,
let's finish this quickly. Let's get over with. Like, that's the tone I got.
They have like the little kids. It's just I got
Right.
chills after reading it like this
Yeah.
time.
Me
I
too.
was like,
Just
good
just how
Lord.
emotionless, because it's a job to do. Oh, okay. Well, let's just go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it's almost like okay, how do you, we're gonna go spray for cockroaches. We're gonna go spray for spiders and ants. I mean, technically, when you think about it, you're destroying thousands and thousands and thousands of bugs.
I mean, I'm fine
Us,
with
it's
that.
nothing. But like
Yeah.
if you put in that slot of this is just what we do, this
Yeah.
is the way we've always done it. That mentality right there has been one big headache for a lot of different industries.
Oh,
This is the way we always
absolutely.
do it. It's the way we always do
Yeah.
it. I'm sure Chris has to deal with that crap all the time, being safety.
All the
And
time.
I've had to deal with that a little bit, even as the instructor. I've had to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is
Well,
how we've
because
done
people
it.
be like, well, this doesn't make any sense because we do it this way.
And I have to explain to them, like, well, this is why, and here's why. We have evidence to prove this. And so and they don't normally argue too much, especially because I have all the evidence
I
with
have to
it.
deal with that at work too with
Oh, really?
injections because most LNI doesn't allow bilateral injections in the spine. They allow it for the SI joint, which is a bigger joint at the bottom of the spine.
Hmm.
But I always get, well, other insurances do it.
Well, ours
That's
doesn't.
that's fantastic. And I was like, I've had them myself for my private
Mhm.
insurance. LNI does not cover them. Well, why?
Mhm.
I am an intake representative. I do not know why you think I would have
I
that.
I get to the point like with people shaving for respirator quantitative fits, Q fits. Like,
Yeah.
well, why do I have to shave? Because you get the better seal, which means you're better
Yeah.
protected from the potential hazards you could be inhaling.
Yeah.
Well, I could get a seal with a beard on. I'm like, you know what? You might be right. You might have gotten a seal, but is it as good a seal that OSHA regulates that we want to do? Because if you
Freaking
are,
OSHA.
yeah, yeah, well, if OSHA says this and then we
Yeah.
get hit, our guys get hit,
Yeah.
they're going to come to you and go, hey, comply. It's a part of your job. It's like, trust me, I'm one that I don't like to necessarily shave all the time, especially for wearing something as uncomfortable as a respirator. I get
Yeah.
it. But you know what? At the end of the day, I got to make money. You have basically signed the dotted line saying you're going to comply with our rules.
Yep.
Regulate. If you don't like, there's the door. I hate to say
Yeah.
it. It's like OSHA says so. I don't like using that. OSHA says we have to. That's why.
But that's fact.
There's
Like,
governing factors. I'm sorry. If you don't like
yeah.
it, find a different job or bring it up with your supervisor. It doesn't
Yeah.
care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I tell them it does not affect me a lick
Nope.
whether you wear it correctly or not, because you're going to care in 20, 30 years when you all of a sudden come down with lung cancer.
Yup.
Sorry, not sorry. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
off of that one. But
But
people's
still,
minds
yeah.
they get stuck in that area, and it's like they're literally committing murder, public
Yeah.
executions.
They talk about too. I was trying to see if I took any notes on it, but I didn't. Where they used to do like a whole ass ceremony beforehand,
Mhm.
before
Oh
this,
yeah, they
where
had
it
a
was,
dance and shows
yeah,
and
there was a ritual salute, there was like a recital. The official of the lottery at one time, people remembered there had been a recital of some sort
yeah.
performed by the official of the lottery, a perfunctory tuneless chant, which is scary, that had been rattled off duly each year. Some people believe that the official of the lottery used to stand just so when he said or sang it. Others believed he was supposed to walk among the people, but I'm like, that's just
That's
terrifying.
what I want. And I want to be when I'm being stoned to death. I want someone to be chanting and
Something. Yeah,
scaring me to death
that
more
sounds
than
great.
I already am. Yeah, that
I
sounds
was
great.
like,
I'm
that's
down.
horrific.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna hear everyone singing. It's like what the Whoville guys singing. Ah, getting stoned to death. This
Who
is great.
forest, who
Yeah. See,
Doris,
I don't
welcome Christmas, come this way. Yeah.
stoned to death.
And you're gone.
Oh God. Right to the
Yeah,
temple. Right to the temple.
well, they have it too where the kids are pulling the, like, after they get through the head of the households, they get to the individual members. The kids pull it, but then someone has to hold it for them because they're not allowed to open it until they all. I'm like, if the child cannot control themselves enough to
Well,
not
I
open
mean,
a piece of paper, why are they going to be like?
it apparently doesn't matter. It's a part of the whole tradition and ritual.
Which I get, but
Yeah.
I hate it.
I did too. Well, and I looked at this. I put in a note, committing evil together.
Yeah.
So they're committing evil together, like where it kind of binds them as a community, oddly enough. Like we did this together. We committed this unholy task together. Yes, it was for a ritual where I'm guessing to bring forth some kind of good harvest
Something.
in this
Yeah.
case, right? And as you get more into the industrial age, I'm sure that's not necessarily something we're worried about because we know we control a lot of crap. But
Correct.
controlling evil committing evil together makes people bonded to one another, makes them loyal even in ways they would not normally be. So
Absolutely.
like if you've ever read, there's two books that I like was like aghast when I was reading them, like, holy crap, this is insane. 1 Second After and Lucifer's Hammer. They're both post-apocalyptic books. 1 Second After is like early 2010s. And then Lucifer's Hammer is 70s, 1970s,
Okay.
actually written in the 1970s. And in both of those, I believe it's been a minute since I read them. There is a group of people who are surviving and trying to rebuild civilization and trying to be
Yeah.
good among to others. And they're dealing with some serious crap. I mean, there's murder and rape and death all the time and sickness. And
Yeah.
they're trying to deal with that in the new age of no power and modern amenities, electricity, health, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you have the other side of the tracks, almost literally, where you have a group of roving, anti-religious cannibalists.
Perfect.
And the way they get more people is by you take them in, and then of someone who dies, they cook that person. It's disgusting. And then they force you, they go, okay, here's your choice. Here's a plate of human. I want you to either eat this and join us, or we're going to put you in the fire next. And then
I
once you
don't know
have
what my choice would be at
right,
that point.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be consumed and I don't want to eat. So this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, you either die and you go on a rotisserie, or
You eat another person.
or you eat another person, and then because you have now done something terrible with someone else, you are now bonded to them to some fashion, to some degree. At least that's a think how the human psyche kind of works.
Well, it's kind of like
Bonded
trauma
by pain.
bonding
Trauma
when,
bonding. Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
because
I think that's probably what it is.
it might be, I know, because there's like the trauma bond where you both go through something completely horrific. And I'm assuming it would be like just different levels of it. Because there's people that have like survived serial killers together, like when they abduct multiple people. Like that's a massive trauma bond. And it can be super toxic for people that have gone through
Oh,
that
sure.
because you're like, I have to be with you, even if you're not.
Well, then they relate the whole
Yeah,
pattern thing. Because I was with you, I survived.
exactly.
That
Yeah.
could be a part of it too.
Yeah.
So it's being,
I need them
I need to be
because
with you. Yeah,
I
you're
would
very
be dead
dependent.
otherwise. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
absolutely.
It could
Yep.
be like, a luck thing that, well, people who are, well, I wear my lucky socks to this, I wear red on this day because of
Yeah.
X, Y, whatever. People just associate and they think
My
that's going to
lucky
throw them off
jersey.
their game. My lucky
Yeah.
jersey, my lucky whatever. They
Yeah.
think it's going to throw them off their game if they don't have it. It's like, no,
That's completely mental, but
it
okay.
is completely mental. Does not actually have any say, pull, or anything like that
Yeah.
to make you win, lose, whatever.
Yeah. Because I think, like, after, especially after you said the committing evil together, like that, I think is probably part of why they do it. Like, not only for the prosperity of the potential, like, sacrifice, if that's what they do it for, but also just to bond the community further.
Maybe.
Maybe, like, keep the village tight, keep everybody close, kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, think about it like with Thanksgiving, and we're eating a huge turkey together. We're eating a meal together. We're doing something together. Usually some of the, I don't know, families will bring food together, have a
Yeah.
meal together, and then that is regardless if it's an uncomfortable situation or not.
Yeah.
Obviously no one's dying, I hope. While
Hope
you're
not.
having that's some epic Thanksgiving turkey right
That's
there.
that's some shit.
But going out and hunting together. We have people who go out and hunt together.
Yep.
That's a
Our uncles.
bond, a bond. Yeah,
Hmm.
our uncles who go out on hunt together. You have bonding of some kind where you're technically kind of committing some act of violence. Yes, it is to put food on the table. In this
Yeah.
case, it's to act some invisible presence, whether they be there or not,
Yeah.
for some kind of, I don't know, bounty that it may or may not reflect if that person, if the sacrifice is worth it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yep.
it is weird.
It is a
I'm
crazy,
trying to think if I
crazy thing.
have tries a thing. Um, I'm trying to think of. Oh, so I looked it up, like why the inspiration for the
Yeah.
lottery, and I saw something about. She said something about like it's compared to the World War II draft,
Hmm.
because like when you think
I
about
could
it,
kind of see that.
yeah, I was too, because you're forced into something that
Yeah.
potentially they have a high chance of dying from.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Like
that was
every
this.
time they got one, it would be like a black dot. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
essentially. I mean, okay, I know in World War II they had it where at one point in time it was every eligible man over
Yeah.
the age of 18, you're going. It doesn't
Yep.
matter how many, kids are in the family after a tragedy with a family who lost all five sons.
God.
Yeah, I know it's terrible. In one like I think it was in the Navy. They lost all five. The mother lost all five. Imagine getting five American flags very
Nope.
close to after they went right. No,
Nope.
absolutely. So they started to they cannot pull more than you have to leave one adult son basically for the family. They can't pull other than being not drafted but enlisting. So like let's say Chris and I got drafted when we were younger.
Yeah.
One of us would be drafted, not two.
Could you imagine though being the one that stays behind and if all of the rest of them
Well,
get could
here's
you imagine that?
no. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of the times, you had okay. Let's say you had four brothers who are going to go
Mhm.
get. They all got drafted. Well, the
Yeah.
fifth one, odds are they're going to go enlist.
Yeah, that's true.
So they can go voluntarily, but they don't have to go. Yeah, and that nuts? So I think I'm not exactly sure how law abiding that was, or not law abiding, but law specific that was, how
Yeah.
exact that was. But that's kind of what when I read that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense because, like you
Yeah.
said,
I'm like, I can see that.
you get your draft letter, it's basically like a black dot. I mean, what's the
Yeah.
chances of you living through that?
Especially back then. Like, whew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the time people were dying from terrible things like different diseases and fevers and
Exactly. And medicine
various.
wasn't as advanced as it
Mm,
is now.
no, no. I mean,
You
okay,
get a
people
limb
had.
blown off, you'd hope for the
Oh, you're
best, but
screwed at that point. Yeah,
exactly.
you're bleeding out. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Gangrene. Like,
gangrene. Oh yeah, gangrene. Any kind of infection, you're
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You are
it's
done.
you are done.
Done.
I've got a couple. Yeah, I got one more note here. I don't know how if you got any. You got anything else, question
Yeah.
wise, or anything like that? Okay. I have one more thing. What would happen if someone refused?
I mean, she kind of tried.
But that was
I
after she
don't think
participated in the drawing.
also refused to participate in the drawing
In the
itself.
drawing. So yeah, I should have been more specific. But yeah, if you're a head of household, like no, I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
I feel like you'd probably be ostracized and kicked out.
Or you'd be the one chosen to get the
That
black dot,
would be the other option. Yeah.
depending
I
on
think,
how bloodthirsty they are.
yeah, depending. Yeah.
That would be the only way to me. If I'm a head of a town where this has been the tradition since before I was born, my grandparents have been doing this. Who knows how
Yeah.
long? We don't really know exactly. They don't say a date, a year.
Yeah.
Um, if I was to be kind of, show my power muscles, I go and your family goes, no, I am refusing to even draw for
Yeah.
the head of household. Oh, well, the head of household's going to die now. Because the head of household, being a man, usually the strongest physically of the group, unless you got
Yeah.
older sons.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that one's got the black dot now. He refuses. Grab a stone, everybody. Let's go hunting.
Yeah. I guess it would just depend on who was running it. Cause yeah, I mean, I'm a non-violent person, so my brain doesn't go, well, except I love true crime, but my brain doesn't go there super
Except that
often.
part. No,
Except
no.
not a little interest. But
Yeah.
so, I mean, my first thought is like, oh, you get shunned and ostracized and you like
Right.
leave.
That's the
But
more
it would,
peaceful way to do it, I guess.
but it would also make total sense for them to be like, well, that was easy. All right, let's go. Like,
Yeah, you just chose
lottery's
for us.
over.
You just saved us 2 hours. Let's go, guys.
Stones are already piled. Let's do it.
Right.
Like,
That
yeah,
would be my thought as someone who, I've read a lot of some dark stuff sometimes. That
yeah,
would be the villain in my mind would be going, well, I guess Mr. Parker is gonna get killed now, or Mr. Summers is gonna get killed now because
yeah.
he takes responsibility for his household.
And as head of
And
household, you make the decisions for your house, so you would take responsibility for that
right,
decision.
therefore, we're taking responsibility in this
Yeah,
case would be being bludgeoned to death
death.
by
Yeah.
rocks. Now
God.
the question is like, okay, if the wife says no, and I mean, at that point in time, back in the
I
40s,
I don't think that would be an issue. I think they would still participate
mhm,
because
I,
if the husband,
social pressure.
I mean, back then women weren't really considered their own person. They were part with their husband.
Yeah,
So I think if she said no and he was like, sucks to suck, we're doing it
yeah,
anyways,
yeah, yeah.
like, it
I mean, she can
wouldn't really
bend the
matter.
ear. She could bend the ear as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Tessie, Mrs. Hutchinson, tried to not. She was like, "No, that's not fair. That's not fair." She ended up pulling anyways.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
was, yeah. So it's like you can protest, but you're probably
So
gonna end up doing it anyways.
social pressure is insane. Like they've
Oh
done
yeah.
studies, which is nuts. Like if you're in okay, they did a study
Oh,
like
the
where you
elevator,
have what's that?
the elevator one.
No, no,
Oh
not the elevator one. I'm not sure about that one, but
That
The
one was you just walk into an elevator and everyone's turned the wrong way. And they were testing to see how many people would turn the wrong way or stay the right way. Most people turned the wrong way
oh
because they
yeah.
didn't want to be the one turned the right way.
Well, another one was you had a group of, let's just say, two or three people. Okay, you had three
Mhm.
people in a room, and you had someone asking a question. Basic, like, which line is longer? Have you seen this
Oh,
one? Okay,
yeah.
the which line is longer, and then the two people say the wrong one, and then the third person's like, "No, it's A, guys. What's wrong? What's
Yeah.
you guys can't see that?" You add like six, seven people who all give the wrong answer. By the time you
Yeah.
get to the person, they 75% of the time, I think that was the average,
Yeah.
they go with the wrong answer. So it makes we are very social. We would rather go with the flow and be wrong
Yep.
and be what we be, but be with the group than go against the group and be right.
Which I feel like me and my friend were actually just talking about this because we're both close to our 30s. And so I'm like, I feel
That's
like the
gross to think
closer,
about for like,
right?
oh my God.
I know. So
Not
I was
gross,
like,
but just scary.
but
Anyway.
no, I know what you mean. When you turn 30, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I felt like that with Chris too. I'm like, no,
I
he's
know.
17.
I made a joke about it. For real. He's forever 17.
He's forever
Um,
17. I think he's grown
but
to 18 now.
maybe, yeah, I would say
It's
18.
debatable. It's
He's
debatable.
putting chicken in a crock pot. He's 18 now. So we were talking about the fact that I'm like, the closer I get to my 30s, the more that I just like don't give a fuck anymore. And so
Mhm.
I feel like if I was in that room in my early 20s, late teens, even to like mid 20s, I would for sure be like, okay, I'm gonna go with the wrong answer because I don't want to be embarrassing. Right now, if you put me in there, I'd be like, I don't know who these fucking idiots are, but you're wrong. Like
Mhm.
that's fine.
We're very impressionable at young ages, and then that just forms. They
Absolutely.
actually, what's funny is they even say it physically changes the brain.
Oh yeah.
What decisions you make physically
Yep.
change the brain. If you are more submissive, if you make a submissive choice, then eventually over time your brain is going to automatically go submissive. Now, if you go outside the mold and make a more
Yeah.
dominant choice
Mhm.
or something, you're going to be like, hey, no, this is a forceful choice that actually physically changes the brain. How I don't know. I'm not a brain psychologist. I've listened to a lot of
The
different people talk.
neuroplasticity of your brain is just mad the way it
Is that what
can.
it is? That's just
That's
it's just
the
wild.
fact that it can change and evolve, and
Isn't that
it's
insane?
absolutely crazy.
Neuroplasticity. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's
Well, trauma changes it drastically. So
mhm.
after my little trauma phase, I mean, relearning how my brain worked after that, I'm still like, wait.
You deal with a lot of like mental scarring in a way. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just hard to
because
overcome that.
there are things that will happen where I immediately have a reaction and I don't understand that reaction until I think about, okay, when was the last time that
The
came up?
breadcrumbs, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, fuck, that was 3 years ago. Why is that still coming up? Like, I don't, random
Yeah.
things like that where you're like, why am I super upset right now? Nothing happened. And you
Yeah.
have to like figure it all out.
I had that with like getting obsessed about some like a certain topic or like project like what I'm dealing with just trying to be more productive on
Yeah.
a reasonable scale, reasonable
Yeah.
schedule. I've been so like even when I was a kid, I worked so damn much that
Yeah.
I was okay. The job is to get money, as much money as I possibly can to put away in savings. We can save for house and kids and the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards. Well,
Adulting.
the whole adulting thing.
Yeah.
Um, and working like a psychopath, like what, two, three jobs at one point in time. 80.
Definitely worked three for sure.
I worked three jobs for 3 weeks, but I worked two jobs for several years.
Yeah.
In high school too, all the way up till about 10 years ago when I
Yeah.
stopped working two jobs, which is just nuts to think about. It's almost been 10 years. I do that same kind of obsessive, like I need to burn the candle at both ends with gasoline, lighter fluid,
I think that's
dynamite.
genetic.
I think that it does have yeah, I think it is, but I think it's a little learned too. There's some habits on both, but then it became kind of became I feel like I dealt with the not depression, but the like serious. I drove myself to the ground like a plane
Yeah.
just flying down, and I got super sick
Yep.
when I was working the two jobs. Mentally was just run out, emotionally done, physically done.
Yep.
And then when I was working here, I was working in my the current job, different shop. We were looking at needing some extra money to go along, trying to do overtime and do a second job, like dropping off mail or paper in the morning, a
Oh yeah.
paper route. So
Yeah.
I considered doing a paper route. And Ash and I talked about it. We're like, yeah, let's do that. It's only, 3 or 4 hours in the morning. It's an extra how much money, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. Literally the first day I had the job. I had the job.
Yeah.
The first day I woke up late and I said,
That's
no,
a sign.
my body's already telling me that this is stupid. My
Yeah.
brain is like, don't do this. You realize you fucked yourself how many years ago? Do you really
Yep.
want to repeat this again? And so I
Yeah.
called him. I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. This is not good.
Yeah.
I have to, I can't do this again. No.
I have the same issue of, especially when Chris is gone, I will work as much overtime as humanly possible. I'll work out
Yeah.
as much as humanly possible. I will do as much as just to get the time to pass, to save
Right.
money, to do da da da, whatever. And when we moved here, I had my PT job
Yeah.
and working at the office, and I got a call for the Belfair Starbucks. And I was like, "Babe, maybe I could just work on the weekends." And he was like, absolutely fucking not. He was like,
I'm
you are,
so glad he said no.
he was
I'm
like,
so
and I was
glad he
like,
told you no.
well, maybe, just extra money. It's just on the weekends. And he was like, no, you're going to be fine with your current money. I have my, like, we're going to be fine. You
The
do
two of
not
you
need a second
together
job.
make
Yeah.
money.
And I was like,
A
well, maybe
team.
I'll just go in for an interview. And he was like, please shut up. You're not he was like so firm on you're not doing it. Cause he
I
knows I burn out so bad.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had the same problem. I had the
Yep.
same problem. Burnout is a thing. And like just recently, like I mean, I've been doing so well with production and getting everything done and writing again. It's been so nice. And then Saturday, I got back from Chimicum for, hour drive, hang out there. We got back at 2. I left at like 9:30 that morning. Do
Yeah.
another one this week. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write my 500 words that I told myself you're gonna do every single day.
Yep.
And of course, it ranges between 300 to 1,000, but whatever, it's
Yeah.
production. So I
Yeah.
sat down, I'm looking at my computer, I'm like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
this. I don't have the, I'm done. I don't want to. So I'm like, I actually, I have a production schedule that I have written up
Mhm.
and I put there on Saturdays, rest day, do
Yeah.
nothing. Like,
Yeah.
don't work. Think about
That's
other things.
I have to force myself to rest. And
Yeah, it's weird.
yesterday I did a little bit. Instead of walking for an hour, I just cleaned the house for an hour because
There
it's
you go.
not, my house is pretty small. It's not super laborious. So I like redid my desk. And because before Chris left, the day before, we had a memorial for one of his friends' moms. And
Mhm.
we went to that and I was like, okay, I'm going to walk after the memorial. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then we got home and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna get ready to walk. And he was like, or you could not. Because I'd worked out every day for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Jesus.
And
You got to
some of them were like
rest.
just walks. Yeah. And he was like, or you could take a rest day. And I was like, do you want me to take a rest day? And he was like, so you're gonna take a rest day. It was like, you haven't had a rest day in forever. And I
Oh,
did.
I'm
And the
so
next day I
glad he
felt
does that for
so
you.
much better. Yeah. And that's my best friend will be like, maybe it's a rest day. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, your body feels like it's saying it's a rest day. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I'll be like, so I'm sick. And she's like, fucking weird.
Yeah, yeah.
That happened.
I'm glad you have him to kind of help you do the right thing for you because you and I have the same
Yeah.
spiral down to nothing.
Yeah. I'll like
Like where
panic clean. And he's like, please sit down. And
well,
I'm like,
I
oh,
I mean I had a problem where I was working so much when I was working 7 days a week years ago. It was before the kids.
yeah.
There was one day I had a day off. It was Memorial Day. I remember it being
Yeah.
Memorial Day, and so Ash and I hung out. We were just being lazy at home. I think she wasn't even teaching yet, or maybe she was. I think she was teaching, not subbing yet. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, she think she was subbing, and we finally had a day off together. And I'm pacing the apartment.
Hmm.
My apartment was one in East Bremerton, the tiny
Yep.
one, the little 2 bedroom, one bath. I'm literally going back and forth between the bedroom, living room, bedroom, living room, bedroom, living room. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, "I need something to do. I need to
Yeah.
accomplish something." She's like, "I mean, I guess you could go to the store. Like, what do we need?" It's like, "I think bread, maybe a gallon of milk." Like, I'll be back. So I get the
BRB.
keys and I go to the store. I mean, it's 2 minutes on the road. I
Yeah.
grab the 3 things. I come home. I put it away. I sit down and she goes, "You feel better?" Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
So
like
weird.
unaccomplished if I don't work out or have some kind of like physical activity. And so I'll have to be like, okay, that's why I was like, I need to at least clean. I need to clean for an hour.
And
And then
that's
I did laundry. Okay, I got
right,
something done.
right.
Okay, now I did something.
I've earned my rest, and that's
Literally. And
well,
it's
and
not healthy.
no, I wish, God, we need Chris on here because he would just tell the both of us to sit back and pound back some cheeseburgers.
That's my Chris can rest like he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna game all day. I'm gonna go take a bath.
I see.
I'm gonna sit here.
I can't.
I can't either.
I did it for like 4 hours on Saturday. It was awesome, but like I was literally forced. Like, don't look at my phone. I left my phone upstairs.
Mhm.
Don't look up ideas. Don't look for people. Like, stop it. So
Yeah, I'm trying to like limit my phone time.
yeah. So people are superly. That's not a word.
That's for sure a word.
Super easily manipulated by our own
Yeah,
brain chemistry and then social pressures. So seeing the
yeah,
shit that happens in the lottery, it kind of makes sense.
it does. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's like the Hunger Games, I feel like isn't that far off of like what could
Well,
potentially happen if we have the
right.
wrong people doing
Right.
stuff.
And it
Like,
makes sense that they
yeah,
pulled from that. And that was what the government can do to you. They can take your
yeah,
children. And well, they kind of actually, I just thought of this. The Hunger Games kind of went where she didn't
yes,
because she showed that there's a potential for the kids to die, but they didn't die.
yes,
A adult died.
yeah,
In Hunger Games,
yep.
they showed legitimate children, what, 12 and older, 13 and
I think
older?
I
I think it
think
was,
I think 12.
yeah, I think did you see the movies?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's been a long
so
time though.
okay, but Rue dies, and
Yeah,
that's the most like that's what kind of
I
pitches it
bawled.
over. I was so pissed when she died.
Yeah,
I was like, but I was. She kind of died a martyr, where
yeah,
once she died, the I think it was like District 11 or whatever. They were like, "Fuck this! You guys are killing these beautiful children,"
yeah.
and we had another person from the district honor her, you know, putting flowers around her,
Mhm.
trying to protect her, and failed because you get attacked by six people or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's like, okay, well, we're done. We're tired of being abused and having our children plucked like
yeah.
apples and thrown away.
It
It's
is
just
12 years old. I just Googled it.
she was 12. Okay, so she was the youngest. So that makes
Yeah,
really a lot of sense. That
yeah,
drew a lot of emotion and heart and anger all at
yeah,
once. And I don't blame
yeah. No, I'd
them.
be like, fuck this noise.
Go
Hell no.
crazy. Yeah.
Yep,
Well, anyway, I think we've talked about everything there is to say about the lottery and then some.
probably, yes.
Yeah. So we got to rate this bad boy.
I personally rate it top shelf, especially for a short story. I think you get so much information in. It's such when you start out, you're not expecting the big twist at the end. It's
No.
gut wrenching. I mean, I think there's just so many elements to it
Hmm.
that I would read it again many
Oh,
times, probably. Like
yeah,
it's so short, which helps, but like
it
just
does.
to see if I process anything differently or like if something else jumps out at me or like I could easily see me reading this like every few years just to see what else pops up. Like it's like one of those stories that I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna check
Well,
it
and
out.
that I think that's I'm leaning more towards the top mid top whatever
Mhm.
for me just because it elicited a just great conversation
Yeah.
to with all this different it ties in with a lot of different avenues of psychology, the human brain,
Yep.
society, history,
Social
all this
pressure.
social pressure, all these crazy things. It's funny because like if you read it more than once. Like
Yeah.
read it twice, if not three times, because
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, I read it the first time. I didn't catch a lot of things. Then I caught it. Then you caught shit I didn't catch.
Which I'm like, I need to read it again.
Yeah, I mean, it was it. So I'm definitely. I wish it was longer and you could go into
Me
more in
too.
depth. That'd be so
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, I definitely, especially on the iconic part of this, the people,
Yes.
the fact that you said that there was the most letters or correspondence that the what was it, the Post, the
It was the New York Times.
New Yorker
New Yorker,
got.
that's it. What it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
which is because of
was
how awful
yeah, the
the
most
ending.
mail in the history of the New Yorker.
Most mail in the history of New York. I mean, that's crazy. It elicited
Yeah.
that much of a visceral response,
Yep.
and it was told it wasn't gory.
No, not at all.
It was not it, but it just
It
it
technically wasn't super violent either. I think she only
no.
gets hit like, twice in it, and it's not anything crazy. And then it
Oh,
just
one time
the
I think
last
one
thing is
time
they were upon her is like the last,
they were
which is
upon her.
just I got chills again. It's just chilling. Like it's
Yeah.
just so well written.
Stone hit the side of her head and then they
That's
were
what it
upon
was.
her. I'm
Yep.
like, that's it. So we're allowed to kind of forecast in our brain, create in our
Yeah.
own mind what kind of terror. I think of zombies just ripping her to
Oh, yeah.
shreds is what I think of.
When
But
you hear that, yeah, absolutely.
just then they were upon her. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like lions on a gazelle. Just this thing is coming apart now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a special kind of horror where there's no gore needed. It's just
Yep.
using your own brain to create the horrifying
I was
images.
just saying, which makes it more
Even
horrifying.
worse,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely it does.
for
So
sure.
so yeah.
Yep,
All
yep.
right, cool. Well, that was great.
That
We
was
actually
so
did it.
fun.
We did it in an hour.
I'm so proud of us.
Holy crap. So it's
Look
got to
at
be
us
12
go.
pages. 12 pages is per hour.
Okay, that's
We got a
a
ratio
lot.
down. So bad. We're so bad at this.
They're terrible.
All right, guys. Hope you
Okay.
enjoy this. Go read some lottery and other things, and let us know
Yeah.
if you want us to read something, and we can review, talk about it for future
Yep.
books. Yeah. All right. Bye, Ams. Love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.